In today's video, I am going to tell you how to lose body fat while maintaining your glutes. I don't think anybody wants to lose weight and end up with a pancake butt. I've kind of been there in the past. I made a bunch of mistakes when I was losing weight. The size of my glutes decreased quite dramatically, and I'm going to tell you what those mistakes were so you can learn from my mistakes and see the best results possible. So, we're gonna start. I'm gonna give you the tips. Woohoo! Okay, so tip number 1 is do not eat in a huge caloric deficit and try to lose body fat really quickly, because when you do that, it increases your chances of losing muscle mass, and if you're losing muscle mass, your glutes are going to shrink because your glutes are fat and muscle. So especially if you don't have a lot of muscle built there yet, you definitely want to be holding on to every last bit of muscle you can. There's a lot of reasons, obviously, why that is just my advice across the board. Don't be under eating and trying to lose weight really quickly because it's detrimental for a lot of reasons, and maintaining the booty is one of them. I don't like the scale because people get way too caught up in it and it's not always the most reliable, but let's just use that for this example. Half a pound a week to a pound a week is a good rate of fat loss. You don't need to be losing weight at the speed of light. That is going to help you maintain your booty, or even grow it because if you're new to weight training, you can absolutely grow and reshape your glutes as you lose body fat. So eat your food. Don't be trying to lose all of this weight at the speed of light. Good things take time. Okay, and tip number 2 is eat enough protein. Eat enough protein. I know a lot of people struggle with eating enough protein. If that's you, I do have other videos. I have 2 videos really focusing on telling you how to eat enough protein because it is so darn important for maintaining muscle mass. And as I said, your glutes are muscle, so you want to be able to maintain the muscle as much as possible because, again, if you're losing the fat and losing the muscle, it's gonna disappear. So yeah, you need protein to maintain muscle, especially when you are in a caloric deficit. It puts you in a place where it's easier to lose muscle mass. So if you're in a caloric deficit, not eating enough protein, you're getting in a risky place, a very risky place. So what I suggest is anywhere from 0.7 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You can also go over that if you desire. If you're in a caloric deficit though, I don't really suggest going much over 1.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight. It's not a thing where it's like, oh, the more I eat, the better my muscle is going to maintain itself. If you're eating a pound per protein of body weight, you'll be good. And then if the odd day's under, don't stress. That's another thing. Don't be stressing and be like, oh my gosh, I'm way under. Oh my gosh, my glutes are gonna disappear overnight. Sometimes you're gonna be a little bit under and that's okay, but definitely put a lot of emphasis and a lot of effort into eating enough protein. So tip number 3 is do not overdo it with the cardio. You want to put most of your emphasis on weight training, and then the cardio is kind of just like the cherry on top. Now, the reasoning behind this is if you're doing extreme amounts of cardio, you can start to lose muscle mass from that. You also will sacrifice your recovery from your lifts. And if you're not recovering from your lifts, what's going to happen is you're not going to be improving, which means you're not going to be gaining muscle, which means your glutes are not going to be benefiting. Or on the other hand, even if you're not trying to gain, if you're just trying to maintain your muscle mass, if you're losing strength like crazy, doing a shit ton of cardio, it's not good. Your glutes are going to start to dwindle. They're going to start to dwindle and deflate and disappear and go away. So put a lot of emphasis on your lifts, and that doesn't still lift heavy. You do not have to suddenly lift really lightweight or crazy high reps or anything just because you want to lose body fat. What builds muscle in a caloric surplus helps maintain muscle in a deficit. So I'll do like a mix of low rep heavy and kind of like moderate plus higher rep, all that jazz. And I actually haven't been doing any cardio. What I've been doing is just putting, again, all my emphasis on my lifts. So that pretty much takes up all my energy. And then my cardio is just getting 10K plus steps per day. And that can work for anybody as long as your nutrition is on point. Now, when I was doing cardio, I would do like 3 sessions a week for 20-ish minutes. And that worked well as well. This is gonna vary too. I mean, if you're sedentary all day and you don't get any steps, you might wanna do a little bit more cardio. But the point is, do not go crazy with your cardio. Put a lot more emphasis on your weight training and don't be afraid to lift heavy. Make sure you're getting stronger. All of this matters. It matters so much because, like I said, your glutes are a muscle. So if you're losing fat and that glute muscle is also being lost, the glutes are gone. They're gone. Tip number 4 is to give it time and consistency. The longer you've been lifting for, the more muscle you'll have built up. So that means when you're losing body fat and the fat comes off of your glutes, you're gonna retain more size because you'll have built up more muscle. If you haven't been weight training for that long, you haven't been that consistent, and you haven't built up that much muscle, your glutes are not going to look the same as when you've been lifting consistently for a few years. So that was definitely me. Back in the day when I would lean out, my glutes would shrink dramatically. There's one time in particular, I definitely remember them shrinking quite a bit. And the reason I remember that is because somebody told me, a freaking boy told me. Anyways, let's resume. I don't hold grudges. Sorry, my memory card was full. If I I'm completely in a different positioning, I'm sorry. So yeah, one of the reasons why though that my glutes would shrink so much was partially because of the fact that I didn't have a ton of muscle built up yet, partially again because I wasn't lifting the most intelligently, doing too many isolation exercises, not enough compounds. They also shrunk a lot because I made the errors that I previously mentioned. So I would lose weight very, very fast. I was in too much of a caloric deficit. So bam, mistake number 1. I did eat enough protein, so I had that down. And then also the cardio thing, I definitely did more cardio than necessary. I remember actually I would feel so drained because I would go so hard in my lifts and then I would go so hard in my cardio, and it was just too much and it did not help my results at all. Even in terms of the fat loss, I eventually noticed that when I was overdoing it, I didn't lean out as much because my body was I was just like stressed and holding on to water and I wasn't recovering. But back to the topic. Over time, the more muscle mass you build up in your glutes, the less they're going to shrink when you lose body fat, unless you have like insane genetics and you're just one of those people where you lose body fat everywhere except for your glutes. I mean, that's not a lot of people, but some people, that's some people. When you're losing fat, your glutes they're naturally gonna shrink to a degree. Even if you have a lot of muscle built, they're never gonna be as big as if you're at a higher body fat. But again, if you're building muscle, shaping it nicely, it's still gonna look awesome. But yeah, if you follow these tips, stay consistent, work on building muscle, don't starve yourself, don't overdo cardio, don't undereat protein, it will definitely massively improve your results and help you maintain your glutes. And like I said, be patient with it because it takes time, a long ass time to build muscle. So don't just get frustrated, just stick with it and you will grow the gluteals. Woo! So there's definitely a lot more. I can give a lot of tips on how to properly train so you can properly build your glutes. So if you would like to see that, I will make that video in the near future. Let me know. And that is it, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!